Okay, welcome back from the Hard Asset Investment Conference in San Francisco. You know, I ran into an old friend of mine here, a gentleman who's been on the show before, Dudley Baker. Dudley and I have known each other. We kind of came to the conclusion, something north of 6 years, so time flies when you're having fun. Dudley has a very, very interesting website, okay, and on that website, you don't necessarily deal with shares. You deal with share purchase warrants. I've always been intrigued with that. I follow your site. Tell our listeners about it.
Well, actually, we started the site in March 2005, so we've been around for a good while now. It started basically as a database for warrants that are trading on the natural resource companies. I limited my focus to this sector because this is my hot button in life, and now we've still got the great warrant database with leverage calculations on all those warrants that are trading. Well, we've expanded this out now to include, subscribers get to see my entire portfolio. So still, warrants is still only 20-some-odd% of my portfolio. So that alludes, so what else do you own, Dudley? Well, basically I own common shares in a lot of the companies that are like here exhibiting at the San Francisco show.
You know, I find it to be interesting that you have expanded your universe. I guess I should say I'm perhaps a bit remiss in not expanding mine in the sense that we both buy shares in the companies that we're involved with. We're both very forthright about that. We talk about changes in positions, et cetera, et cetera. I guess what I'd like to segue in here then is, number one, give us a perhaps more complete description of your site, and then let's talk about future trends that we see coming.
Okay, I mean it's still when you go to preciousmetalswarrants.com, you're going to just have access to a lot of information, whether that's our warrant database, whether that's seeing my portfolio. I do an audio every Thursday. After the markets close, kind of recapping, any specific thing going on with any of the companies in my portfolio. I religiously follow insider trading activity on all of these resource stocks, literally tracking hundreds of these companies. Any insider breeze on one of these companies, I get an instant email. And so I really am proud of this fact, and I'd like to think I kind of distinguish myself from the crowd because this is just part of who I am right now in following the insider. So if I can just interrupt you for a second, that's probably one of the best indications of what's going on in a company as opposed to almost anything. Well, it really is, and I mean, if I can look at a price chart. I can hear a great story as we're walking around the room. Here in San Francisco at any of the shows, let's face it, management's always going to put a positive spin on their story, but at the end of the day, I know within 60 seconds, I'm going to go back to the room, get online. I'm going to know exactly how many shares that individual owns that I was just talking to. And so it's like, as I like to say, don't BS me, because within minutes I'm going to know exactly what your share position is in the company. So let's shoot straight, and never in the world am I going to own more shares than the president of any given company.
Well, great minds think alike, because I feel exactly the same way as you do on that one. One thing that Dudley and I are going to talk about after the interview is we're going to do a little bit of co-mingling on our two sites, because I think it's very, very important that you folks are aware of the insider trading that's going on, certainly in the companies that we follow. And we're going to also put a banner up on our site for Dudley's site. I thought there was one there already, but we're going to put that one up. So any information that listeners want to get about what Dudley's discussing here, simply click on the banner and boom, away you go, and you're going to get all of that information. Changing to a bit of a more macro issue. Now, you're living in Mexico.
Yes.
And you've been there a while, 5 or 6 years
Probably,
or whatever.
13 and a half.
13 and a half years, okay.
Full time.
I am very, very concerned right now, Dudley, about what's going on in our country. I love talking politics. Our listeners are all of the same mind, pretty much. All 170,000 of them are all of the same mind that I am. We're pretty conservative. I'm scared to death about the future of our country. What does Dudley Baker think?
Well, I'm greatly concerned as well. Let's say I live full-time outside, so I do have a little different perspective. But my family is still in the United States, and so we still all love the United States, still U.S. citizen. So we don't like to see anything negative going on. But I've got several friends that are also subscribers that said, Dudley, if the election doesn't go as we want, which it did not in their mind, that man, they may think about just leaving, coming to Mexico, going somewhere else in the world, But it's a big world, and if you are in a position and you have choices, that's okay. But yeah, I usually don't get too political as well on any of this stuff, but I do feel like we just see a different perspective once we're outside of the country, and I'm really proud that I've had the opportunity to have taken an early retirement way back in 1996, and now have found, really my second career passion in life is with the resource sector, and being able to do it in Mexico, where so many of these companies have marvelous projects right almost in my backyard in Mexico, and I just love this connection.
The reason I bring up the political topic is because I think that politics and investing really go hand in hand, and I'm positive that you would agree with me on that one. Right now, for example, in the resource sector, it's kind of scary. There's a whole lot of red in my portfolio, and I'm sure in your portfolio also. Not totally, but there is a bit of it. I think that's a direct indication of the direction that our country is going in. But on the other hand, on a positive note, Dudley, I got to tell you, this too shall pass. And I think that some of the share prices that are absolutely totally decimated right now are going to come back in spades in the mid to long term.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt in my mind. I usually say I'm probably one of the more optimistic, newsletter guys in the business. I just feel so confident about where we're going to be in the next few years, and maybe sooner than that. I mean, meaning January, February 2014. A lot of all the Fibonacci numbers all align to January, February 2014. The 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34s of the world, and it's all honing in on that date. Now, will that be the ultimate peak? It's hard to believe that would be the ultimate peak in gold, but I would be willing to say that's going to be a significant turning point. Maybe that's a significant peak, maybe not the ultimate peak, but it's probably going to be significant enough that we're going to have to trade that peak at that point in time. But dangerous markets, just really dangerous markets, and just so many people that I've met here that almost with tears in their eyes as an investor have lost a lot of money, and that's really sad. And believe me, with my newsletter, I take this with a great sense of responsibility.
I mean, you have to, and like I said, I've known you for a while, and I know that you've got all the integrity in the world. I feel the same way. I think that that any kind of, I don't give investment advice, but people listen to what I have to say. They listen to what our guests have to say, and I feel very, very responsible to our audience. I don't want anything but the brightest people, and that would include you on the program, and I don't want anything but people who are totally forthright. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. Big Al's going to be right back.